confidence in world business. Because that's what we're really talking about. We're talking about the confidence in world business and not saving so much money that we make the economy slow down further than it needs to slow down. Where does entrepreneurship fit in this picture? I think that will be a very interesting thing for you to discuss this with a lot of people. Before you do, though, I'd like to ask you to consider what we really mean by entrepreneurship. So, what's an entrepreneur? I shouldn't show you this slide. Don't look at the slide. When did Bill Gates become an entrepreneur? In the university? When he started his company or before?
Before that as well.
Before, okay. What about Sergey Brin? Started Google. Was he an entrepreneur while he was studying at Stanford or only after they started Google?
Before that.
Does anybody disagree? Funny thing is, last year I gave a talk about who's an entrepreneur to this very group, and people were telling me, if you don't start a company, you're not an entrepreneur. I think that there are timeless characteristics of an entrepreneur. Okay, that's one thing to pay attention to. An entrepreneur is someone who has a vision, who wants to change the world in some positive way. That vision may not be very specific until some opportunity comes along. But they are ready to change the world. They have the planning ability to take this opportunity and make it into reality. And of course, you do need a great deal of passion for the vision. You have to take the risk of failure. And you're in a pretty safe place as university students. Out in the real world, when you have to, make sure you have enough money to eat, and especially if you get a family, this business of taking the risk for failure becomes a much more intense feeling. You also have to be willing to change existing institutions in order to achieve your goal. There are a lot of people with good ideas who are prisoners to big companies. And if they can change things within the context of a big company, great. But how much are they willing to step outside and do things on their own? And finally, you really have to have leadership and charisma to execute a plan. It takes someone who can convince people to work with them. It takes someone who can convince investors to invest in their company. And it takes someone who can evangelize the market to buy the product. So, you have to have this leadership and charisma. These parts are often talked about. I think these three things are areas to focus on that people don't talk about too much. An entrepreneur really needs to be flexible. The world changes very quickly. One reason startup companies are strong is they can change. It takes 3 years to kill a big project. A company takes 3 years to kill a project inside a big company. That's because of the way the budget cycle runs. But a startup company will probably only get 1 year of funding at a time. And you have to be flexible to make sure that you've still got the opportunity that you started with, to make sure that you keep up but not lose your big vision. You have to have team building skills. In a way, the famous entrepreneurs almost do a disservice to what it's all about to be an entrepreneur. Because the famous people like Gates or Steve Jobs or whoever, they were great team builders. They could get people to work with them. They could be the heart and soul of a team. But nobody can do it all by themselves. So team building skills are very important. And finally, an entrepreneur must have a commitment to the venture more than to themselves. One reason that the investors here like to invest in local companies is because a venture capitalist told me this. They like to drive by the parking lot and see what kind of cars are there. If the company president has bought too nice a car, they may not get their next round of funding. So the entrepreneur must be committed to the company, all of the people that work with them, all of the stakeholders in the company, even more than to their own gain. But if you look at these things, when does somebody develop these skills? Some of them maybe you're kind of born with, some of them you learn for years and years. they're not necessarily directly associated with the first time you have a specific business idea. And that's when we get into the study of entrepreneurship, where you really need to study the factors in achieving success as an entrepreneur. So this becomes pretty useless unless you can bring in some discussion of specific business opportunities. The same solution does not always work, and you also need to come up with a range of alternatives, options, for how to capitalize on that particular opportunity in a particular environment. So besides these studies of entrepreneur qualities, the study of entrepreneurship really should also include studying business environments, so you understand the structure and dynamics of the institutions, the financial institution in your particular economy. How do you get money? It's a different process to some extent here than it would be in, say, Hong Kong. It is a very different kind of process of having good relationships with your workers here than it would be, say, in Japan, where people are expecting some sort of a stickier, longer-term relationship. And so you really need to study the structure and dynamics of institutions, the financial institutions, the labor institutions in various environments. Then you need to be able to find the best kind of opportunities. Now, what's a good opportunity? It's not only one that could change the world in a huge way, it's one that you can implement. If you can't touch it, you're stuck with it. Unfortunately, I did not study advanced mathematics in college. And so if you ask me to do formal modeling of a particular problem, I got to go with somebody else who knows how to do formal modeling. That's fine as long as I can find somebody on my team. But so for me, the opportunity to do formal modeling depends not only on my own skills, but on who I can work with. So, you need to be able to analyze business opportunities and be able to evaluate what you need in order to make them happen. Find ways of overcoming the challenges of particular environments, and also figure out how you're going to define success. If you start a company without knowing where you're going to be in 10 years, with that company or having sold it to somebody else, it's like going down a road where you don't know where the road leads to, right? So you do need to think about the exit options early. Having said this about entrepreneurship, any questions or comments or discussion items at this point? I want to look a little bit just at a few of the Asian economies and see what I see is going on. Go ahead.
You were talking about confidence, consumer confidence. I was wondering how that is measured.
I really didn't pay too much attention. I just pulled the slide, very frankly. But consumer confidence is typically measured in terms of both behavior and also survey. So I'm not sure how the World Bank pulled those numbers. I apologize, but that's not really what I'm interested in, except to say that it's very volatile. And you're going to see some other things about Asia that I did pay a little bit more attention to how they pull the numbers because I think they're kind of controversial. This is from the World Bank, which has a website now called doingbusiness.org. And they gave rankings on the ease of doing business in 181 economies. Now, pay attention, this is the ease of doing business, not whether you have great market opportunity, not whether if you're a participant in that economy, you may have different situation than people who are not. So the U.S. showed up as number 3, both in 2008 and in 2009. The rankings came out in February. This is their projected rankings. And you've really got the U.S. and Hong Kong and Singapore way up in the top here. You've got Japan not too bad, and you've got Taiwan and China. I don't know. Taiwan to me fits in with sort of what you usually see in Malaysia